The rain in Seattle doesn't wash things clean. It just makes the grime stick harder. It had been raining for 9 days when I sat at the kitchen table, the glowing digits of the calculator mocking me in the dim light. $1,200 for the transmission parts on the Chevy. $450 for the electric bill, past due. $800 for Lily's dental work. And on the other side of the ledger, $328 in the checking account. I rubbed my face, smelling the permanent scent of 10W30 oil that no amount of lava soap could scrub from my skin. I looked toward the hallway. The door to Lily's room was cracked open, a soft nightlight spilling out. She was asleep, clutching the stuffed rabbit that was missing an ear. I needed money. Not vacation money, not new TV money. I needed keep the lights on money. I looked at the closed door across the hall. The spare room. It had been my wife's sewing room. After the funeral, I had boxed up the fabrics and the mannequin, sealing the room like a tomb. I hadn't stepped inside in 3 years. But dignity doesn't pay the dentist. I pulled out my phone, the screen cracked in the corner, and opened the local classifieds app. My thumbs hovered over the keypad. I felt a wave of nausea. Letting a stranger into our lives? Into the sanctuary I'd built for Lily? It felt like a violation. But then I looked at the overdue notice for the electricity again. I typed quickly, blunt, and uninviting. Room for rent. West Seattle. $700 per month. Quiet house. Single father with young child. No parties, no overnight guests, no drama. Must have references. Available immediately. I hit post. Then I went to the sink and splashed cold water on my face, hoping I hadn't just made a mistake that would cost me more than money. The responses were a parade of disasters. A guy who wanted to pay in crypto. A student who asked if he could practice his drums in the garage. A woman who asked if I was lonely in a way that made my skin crawl. I was about to delete the ad when the final message came through. Hello, my name is Elena. I am looking for a quiet place to study and sleep. I do not smoke, drink, or have pets. I can pay the first 3 months in cash immediately. I can meet you whenever is convenient. The grammar was too formal, the offer of 3 months rent too good. A scam? Maybe. But desperate men take meetings. We met at a diner on California Avenue. I brought Lily because I couldn't afford a sitter, and because she was the best lie detector I knew. I got there early, ordering a black coffee and a chocolate milk. I watched the door. I expected someone older, maybe a traveling nurse or a weary librarian. When the bell above the door chimed, a girl walked in who looked like she might shatter if the wind blew too hard. She was young, maybe 25 or 26. She wore a gray wool coat that looked simple but fit too well, and heavy boots. Her hair was dark, pulled back in a severe bun that pulled at her temples. She wore no makeup, highlighting the dark circles under her eyes. She scanned the room, her gaze landing on me, or rather, on the grease stain on my collar. She didn't flinch. She walked over, her posture rigid. Mr. Sullivan? Her voice was low, melodic but guarded. Mark, I said, not standing up. This is Lily. Elena looked down at Lily, who was busy drawing on the placemat. Elena's expression, which had been frozen in a polite mask, suddenly softened. It wasn't a fake smile. It was a relaxation of muscles she probably didn't know she was holding tight. Hello, Lily, she said gently. Lily looked up, assessed the stranger with the brutal honesty of a 6-year-old, and smiled. I like your boots. They look like army boots. They are for stomping on puddles, Elena said solemnly. Lily giggled. Mark felt a knot in his chest loosen, just a fraction. Sit down, I said. Let's talk rules. Elena sat. She didn't order anything. She folded her hands on the table. They were smooth, uncalloused hands, but the nails were bitten down to the quick. Why do you want the room? I asked. It's small. The house is old. The heating pipes bang at night. I need quiet, she said. I am a writer. I'm working on a project. My current living situation is too loud. Too many people. I just need a place where I can be invisible. Invisible is good, I said. I work long hours. I leave at 6. I'm back at 6. Lily is in school or aftercare. We eat dinner at 6:30. Bedtime is 8:30. We don't have guests. I don't run a social club. I don't have friends in the city, she said quickly. So no guests will be an issue. And the rent. She reached into a plain canvas bag and pulled out a thick, white envelope. She slid it across the table. First, last, and deposit. In cash. I didn't open it. I looked at her eyes. They were brown, deep, and terrified. I knew that look. It was the look of someone running from something. I don't care what you're running from, Elena, I said, my voice dropping. Boyfriend, debt, family. I don't care. But if trouble follows you to my door, if it touches my daughter, you're out. No notice. You understand. She didn't blink. Trouble won't find me here. That's why I chose your ad. You sound formidable. I'm a mechanic, I said. I fix broken things. I don't have time for drama. Neither do I. I looked at Lily. She was drawing a picture of a girl in big boots. Okay, I said. You can move in Saturday. Elena moved in with 2 suitcases. That was it. No boxes of books, no furniture, no posters. Just clothes and a laptop. For the first month, she was exactly what she promised, a ghost. I would wake up at 5 a.m., and the door to her room would be shut. When I came home, she would be in her room, the soft clicking of a keyboard the only sign of life. But slowly, the ecosystem of our small house began to shift. It started with the coffee. I drank sludge, cheap, bulk-buy grounds that tasted like burnt dirt. One Tuesday, I went to the coffee pot and found a bag of single-origin Ethiopian beans sitting next to my tin. A note on it read, I bought too much. Please help yourself. I brewed it. It tasted like blueberries in heaven. Then, it was the laundry. I came home late one night, exhausted, dreading the pile of Lily's clothes waiting for me. I found them washed, folded, and stacked on the sofa. I knocked on her door. You didn't have to do that. She opened the door a crack, wearing oversized sweatpants and a t-shirt that looked like it cost more than my truck. I was doing mine, she shrugged. The machine was empty. It was inefficient to run a half-load. Inefficient, I repeated. Right. Well, thanks. You look tired, Mark, she said, her voice soft. I'm a single dad, Elena. Tired is my baseline. She looked at me for a second too long, a strange sadness in her eyes. Good night. The real change, though, happened with Lily. I was working a Saturday shift, double time, which meant Lily had to entertain herself in the living room while a neighbor checked in on her. When I came home, grease under my fingernails, I heard laughter. Real, belly-aching laughter. I walked in to find the living room transformed. Blankets were draped over the sofa and chairs, creating a massive fort. Lily was crawling out of a tunnel, wearing a colander on her head. Elena was sitting cross-legged on the floor, wearing a tiara made of tin foil. She looked ridiculous. She looked beautiful. Daddy, Lily screamed. We are hiding from the dragons. Elena looked up, her face flushing pink. She scrambled to her feet, adjusting her clothes, the regal mask slamming back into place. I apologize, she stammered. She was bored. I didn't mean to make a mess. I will clean it up immediately. She started pulling down blankets with frantic energy. I reached out and caught her wrist. Her pulse was hammering like a trapped bird. Elena, I said gently. Stop. She froze, looking at my hand on her arm. You're playing with my kid, I said. You don't have to apologize for making her happy. I haven't heard her laugh like that in a long time. Elena looked at Lily, who was still wearing the colander. She has a vivid imagination. She's a very special child. She likes you, I said. And she doesn't like anyone. Elena pulled her hand away gently, but she smiled. I like her too. She listens. That night, after Lily went to sleep, Elena came into the kitchen while I was nursing a beer. She hesitated, then sat across from me. Mark, she said, can I ask you something? Shoot. Is it always this hard? What? Doing it alone. Being everything to her. The provider, the mother, the father, the playmate. I took a sip of beer. Yeah, it is. It feels like you're treading water, holding a brick. But then she smiles, or she draws a picture of you in army boots, and you realize the brick is made of gold. It's heavy, but it's precious. Elena stared at me, her eyes shimmering. You're a good man, Mark. You have no idea how rare that is. I'm just a guy trying to pay the electric bill. No, she whispered. You're rich. You just don't know it. 2 months in, the dynamic had shifted. We were roommates, but we were bordering on something else. A team. We ate dinner together. I fixed the zipper on her coat. She helped Lily with her spelling words. I found myself rushing home from the garage, not just to see Lily, but to see her, to see if the ghost had come out of the room. Then came the night of the gala. I didn't know it was a gala at the time. I just knew it was raining hard, a classic Seattle deluge. It was 11 p.m. Lily was asleep. I was watching TV, worrying about a strange noise the furnace was making. The front door opened. Elena stumbled in. She was soaking wet. But it wasn't the gray wool coat she was wearing. She was wearing a dress. A floor-length, shimmering silver gown that clung to her body like liquid mercury. It was backless, exposing skin that shivered in the drafty hall. She held high heels in one hand, her bare feet muddy from the walk. She reeked of rain and expensive champagne. Elena. I stood up, the remote clattering to the floor. She looked at me, her hair plastered to her face, mascara running down her cheeks. She looked like a fallen angel. I couldn't do it, she slurred slightly. She wasn't wasted, but she was tipsy enough to lose the filter. I couldn't sign the papers, Mark. I rushed over, grabbing the throw blanket from the couch. I wrapped it around her shoulders. Her skin was ice cold. You're freezing. What papers? Where have you been? She leaned into me. God, she smelled good. Jasmine and rain. It was a dangerous scent for a man who smelled like motor oil. They wanted to sell me, she whispered into my chest. Not for money. For power. Mergers and acquisitions. That's all marriage is to them. A business transaction. She looked up at me, her eyes wild. My father. He looked at me and saw a contract. He didn't see Elena. He saw a signature. I guided her to the couch. I knelt in front of her, taking her cold feet in my rough, calloused hands, rubbing them to bring back the warmth. Who is they, Elena? Who is your father? She shook her head. It doesn't matter. I ran away again. I came back here. Because this is the only place that feels real. The grease on the table. The noise of the heater. You. She reached out, her cold fingers touching my cheek. The roughness of my stubble against her smooth palm. The contrast was stark. You're so real, Mark, she whispered. You don't want anything from me. You just want me to pay rent and be quiet. I want you to be safe, I said, my voice thick. She leaned forward. Her face was inches from mine. The air in the room grew heavy, charged with electricity. I could see the gold flecks in her brown eyes. I could feel her breath on my lips. I wanted to kiss her. I wanted to pull her into me and tell her that she didn't have to be invisible anymore. But she was drunk. She was vulnerable. And I was the guy renting her a room. I stood up, pulling back. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. I'm going to make you some tea, I said, my voice shaking. Then you're going to sleep. She looked at me, hurt flashing in her eyes, followed by a dawning realization of what I had just done. I had protected her dignity, even from myself. Thank you, she whispered. I went to the kitchen. My hands were trembling as I filled the kettle. 3 days later, the truth parked in front of my house. It was a black Maybach. It looked like a spaceship landed on my cracked driveway, next to my rusted 2015 Ford F-150. I was in the driveway, changing the oil on my truck. It was Saturday. Elena and Lily were inside making pancakes, burnt ones, judging by the smell. The back door of the car opened. A man stepped out. He was in his 60s, wearing a suit that cost more than my house. He had silver hair and the kind of face that was used to giving orders and having them obeyed before he finished the sentence. He walked up the driveway, stepping gingerly over a puddle of oil. He looked at me with a mixture of amusement and disgust. You must be the mechanic, he said. I wiped my hands on a rag, not extending one. I'm Mark. Who are you? I am Arthur Vance. I believe you are harboring my daughter. Vance. As in Vance Technologies. As in the skyline of Seattle. The pieces slammed together in my head. The writer. The expensive clothes. The merger. Elena wasn't just a rich girl. She was the rich girl. The heiress to an empire. She's not a fugitive, I said, crossing my arms. She pays rent. She's a tenant. She is a child throwing a tantrum, Arthur Vance said. He gestured to the house. Living in squalor. Playing house with the help. I stepped forward. I'm 6'2", broad-shouldered from lifting engine blocks. Vance didn't flinch, but his driver stepped out of the car. Watch your mouth, I said calmly. This is my home. And the woman inside is happier here than she ever was in your tower. Happiness is a commodity for poor people, Vance scoffed. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a checkbook. Let's cut to the chase, Mr. Sullivan. I've had my people look into you. Widower. Debt. A daughter with medical issues. You are drowning. He uncapped a fountain pen. How much? How much to kick her out? To tell her she's not wanted here? To break her little heart, so she comes running back to Daddy and the fiancé I've chosen? He scribbled a number and tore off the check. He held it out. I looked at it. It was for $500,000. $500,000. Everything stopped. The sound of the wind, the distant traffic. I looked at that piece of paper. That was Lily's college. That was a new shop. That was zero debt. That was freedom. All I had to do was betray the woman who made burnt pancakes for my daughter. Vance smiled. A cruel, triumphant smile. Everyone has a price, Mr. Sullivan. Even the noble mechanic. I reached out and took the check. Vance's smile widened. I looked him in the eye. Then, slowly, deliberately, I tore the check in half. Then in quarters. I let the pieces flutter down into the oil puddle at our feet. You're right, I said. I am drowning. I am poor. And yeah, I'm just a grease monkey. I took a step closer, invading his personal space. But I sleep at night. I look my daughter in the eye, and she knows her father is a man of his word. You have billions, and your daughter had to run away to a shack to find someone who treats her like a human being. You are a fool, Vance hissed. You think she loves you? She is slumming it. She is playing a role. When the novelty wears off, she will hate you for keeping her in this filth. Maybe, I said. But that's her choice. Not yours. Now get off my property before I call the cops. And around here, the cops drink beer with me on Fridays. Vance turned purple. Behind me, the front door opened. Father. Elena stood on the porch. She was wearing jeans and one of my old flannel shirts. She had flour on her cheek. She looked stronger than I'd ever seen her. Elena, Vance said, his voice changing to a manipulative sweetness. Look at this place. Look at him. This is embarrassing. Get in the car. No, Elena said. She walked down the steps and stood next to me. She didn't touch me, but she aligned herself with me. I heard him, Dad. He tore up the check. He is an idiot, Vance spat. He is a man, Elena corrected. Something you forgot how to be a long time ago. Vance glared at her. If you stay here, I cut you off. Completely. No trust fund. No cards. No access. You will be nothing. I'll be Elena, she said. And I'll be free. Vance stared at us. The mechanic and the heiress. He sneered, turned on his heel, and got back in the Maybach. Don't come crawling back when you're starving. He yelled as the window rolled up. The car sped away. The victory lasted about 6 hours. That evening, the reality set in. Elena was pacing the living room. He will destroy you, Mark, she said. You don't know him. He's vindictive. He will buy the garage you work at and fire you. He will buy the bank that holds your mortgage and foreclose. He won't stop. Let him try, I said, trying to sound brave. I can't let him hurt Lily, she said. She stopped pacing and looked at me. Tears were streaming down her face. I can't be the reason you lose everything. Elena, we can figure this out. No, she said. She walked over and kissed me. It was desperate and salty with tears. It was a goodbye kiss. I love you, Mark. I love you both so much. That's why I have to go. She ran into her room. I heard the zipper of a suitcase. I banged on the door. Elena, open up. We don't run. I'm not running, she shouted back through the wood. I'm negotiating. When she came out 10 minutes later, she was back in the gray wool coat. She looked like the ghost again. I called him, she said, her voice dead. I told him I'd come back. On one condition. He leaves you alone. He clears your debts. And he never touches your life again. I don't want his money. I warred. It's not for you, she said softly. She reached down and hugged Lily, who had wandered into the hallway rubbing her eyes. It's for the princess in the army boots. She stood up, touched my cheek one last time, and walked out the door. A Blacktown car was already waiting. She left, and the silence she left behind was louder than the rain. The next morning, my bank app showed a zero balance. Not the $328. Zero debt. The mortgage was paid. The medical bills were gone. It felt like blood money. For 3 months, I was a zombie. I went to work. I came home. I made dinner. Lily asked about Annie Elena every day for 2 weeks. Then she stopped asking, which hurt more. I tried to hate her. I tried to tell myself she was just a rich girl who got bored. But I saw the flour on the floor she missed when cleaning up. I smelled the jasmine ghost on the pillow in the spare room. I followed the news. Vance heiress to marry tech mogul in wedding of the century. The date was set for June. It was May. I was working on a transmission one Tuesday when a courier arrived at the shop. He handed me a package. Inside was a guitar case, a vintage Gibson, and a letter. Mark, you once told me that you sold your guitar to pay for Lily's first surgery. You said music was the only thing that made sense before the world got loud. I'm getting married in 3 weeks. Everyone says I'm lucky, but I'm just invisible again. I'm sending this because I want you to make music again, even if I'm not there to hear it. I love you. E. I stared at the guitar. It was beautiful. I put it back in the case. I wiped my hands. I walked into my boss's office. I need a week off, I said. You got vacation time coming, Mike said. Where you going? Disneyland. San Francisco, I said. I have to go object to a merger. I didn't have a plan. I had a truck, a guitar, and a suit I bought at a thrift store that fit okay if I didn't inhale too deeply. I drove to San Francisco. I knew where the wedding was because it was all over the internet. The Fairmont Hotel. I got there on the day of the rehearsal dinner. I couldn't get in, obviously. Security was tighter than the Pentagon. I stood outside the gates, feeling like an idiot. The single dad, mechanic thinking he could storm the castle. Then I saw her. She was walking into the hotel from a side entrance, flanked by assistants. She looked thin, gaunt. She wasn't glowing. She was fading. Elena, I shouted. The security guards moved toward me instantly. Sir, step back. She stopped. She turned. She saw me. For a second, I thought she would turn away. Instead, she ran. She didn't run away. She ran toward the gate. Let him in, she screamed at the guards. Miss Vance, we cannot. Let him in, or I walk into traffic right now. They opened the gate. She collided with me. She didn't care about the grease on my jacket or the thrift store suit. She buried her face in my neck. You're stupid, she sobbed. You're so stupid for coming here. I'm a mechanic, I said. I fix things. And this. I gestured to the hotel, the wealth, the misery. This is broken. Arthur Vance appeared at the top of the stairs. He looked like thunder. You, he growled. I paid your debts. We had a deal. You made a deal with a desperate woman, I said, holding Elena tight. You didn't make a deal with me. I didn't sign anything. I looked at Vance. I'm taking her home, I said. She has obligations. Vance shouted. She has a duty. Elena pulled back from me. She looked at her father. She took off the engagement ring, a rock the size of a grape, and looked at it. My duty is to be happy, she said, and to be decent. You taught me neither. Mark taught me both. She handed the ring to a stunned assistant. I'm done, Dad. Keep the money. Keep the company. I renounce it. All of it. I'd rather eat burnt pancakes in West Seattle than filet mignon with these sharks. Vance looked at her, truly seeing her for the first time. He saw that he had lost. He had all the money in the world, and he couldn't buy his daughter's respect. If you leave, Vance whispered, you are dead to me. Elena took my hand. Her grip was iron. I've been dead here for years, she said. I'm going home to get alive. We drove back to Seattle. It took 14 hours. We talked, we sang, we sat in silence. When we pulled into the driveway, Lily was waiting on the porch with the babysitter. She saw Elena get out of the truck. Auntie Elena. Lily didn't ask about the money or the gala or the drama. She just knew her friend was back. It's been 2 years. We didn't get rich. I still run the shop, though I own a piece of it now. Elena got a job as a copy editor for a publishing house. It pays peanuts compared to her old life, but she loves it. We have a garden. Lily has a mom. Arthur Vance never called. We read in the paper that his company merged, but he was ousted by the board a year later. He lives alone in a 40-room mansion. Sometimes, on Friday nights, we sit on the porch. I play the Gibson guitar. Elena drinks cheap wine. Lily chases fireflies. It's a hard life sometimes. The bills still come. The roof leaks. But I look at them, my girls, and I realize Elena was right that first night. I am a rich man. I just needed someone to help me count the gold.